Yeah, well, you know.
Ready or not, here we go.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, you are live.
Okay, good. So we're live. Pew. Oh, I went the wrong way because the camera's backwards. Every time that logo stays there, I will figure it out eventually. Anyways, sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties, which, as we know, whenever doing filmmaking, that can be an issue. So, of course, always have an extra camera or do the job in the camera store where you can just get another one and you're good to go. So we are set up here. We're doing, for those who don't know, and you're just tuning in on YouTube for, hey, Melinda. Melinda just did the, what is that, Olympus thing? She's famous now. Well, you've always been famous, but you're even more famous now. So we're doing a dialogue day today. And for those of you that don't know, we stream live on YouTube. So although you miss all the crazy stuff that you guys saw that the two people didn't get to see before, we stream live at noon. And then we also stream at 3 on Facebook. So if you feel like, you know, switching platforms or watching or doing whatever, check those out. They also do stay up. At least the YouTube one does. So if you don't have a chance to watch it right away, put it in your playlist, you know, on a Saturday night, date night, whatever, you sit down on the couch, you know, you can watch this kind of stuff. All right, anyways. So today we're doing a dialogue day, which means we're going to actually, more or less from start to finish, shoot a quick dialogue scene here in the store. So we're going to kind of walk through the process of it. I won't get to talk as much today, so that's good. I get a little break. Fernando, Martinez, and Dave Brusca will do most of it. They are the guys that shoot all the videos, or 90% of the videos here at Adorama. So if you guys like our videos, those are the guys that actually are behind the scenes doing it. And you probably also see Dave every week up here doing, Dave pretty much does everything. So that's Dave. We have some amazing actors, which I'll let those guys introduce. And they're going to do a scene from A Beautiful Mind. So we'll first, Fernando, while Dave's setting the camera up, because we had to switch cameras, as noted, do you want to talk a little bit about something, audio? Or?
Sure. Yeah, I can start with audio.
Okay, you need to turn him on, though, because we can't hear him. You may be muted. Now we are in sort of a memory card. Oh, he's got a thing popping up, and you see that? It was crazy. We're gonna teach you how to fold that later. That's the second part of this.
There we go. Better? Now? No? Yes? Cool.
I'm gonna
Hey,
try to
guys.
watch it on my phone, and I'll try to answer questions as we go too, and we'll go from there. Fernando.
Sure. So, no, what are you doing? No, give me that. Never let your actors touch equipment. So, hey guys, I'm Fernando. So yeah, let's start with audio. Really, really basic. So usually you want to have a couple of sources of audio whenever possible. It's never going to be as simple as always having a setup like that, but you always try to have at least what we're having here, a lavalier set up on your actors. Right now we already set Sharina with one because we didn't want to, have to do it live and stuff. But we're gonna set up Doug. Doug, come here. This is Doug Harris, really, really good actor.
Oh,
Well,
set it high.
so hold this for me.
Sure.
So obviously, when you're doing interviews, when you're doing something that is a little bit more like live or broadcast or whatever, it is totally fine to just use a little clip. You can put it on the tie, you can put it on the shirt. It doesn't matter if your audience happens to see the microphone. They're understanding that, the scenario is I am interviewing him, and, that's what we're going for. For a narrative, we're aiming to make it seamless, and as we're observing life happening before us, sorry, this is like super difficult. So our intention is to hide the microphone and make it feel that we're actually just getting the audio just straight out of their mouths. So we use a little thing called moleskin, and I'm going to show it here. These come in like 3 by 6 inch sheets, like tiny little things. You can buy these in CVS. You can buy them from Daniel. He overcharges sometimes. But these are actually made for calluses, I believe. Yeah, for like protection, to put them on your feet or your hand or everything, and the material is non-abrasive. Yeah, so we use them because you can also use medical tape, but we use them because they are sensitive on skin, and you do not have an issue putting it on the actor's skin. So I'm totally just gonna
Yeah,
open
let's
your
do it.
shirt right there. Okay, good. There's a shirt. No skin there.
Secret reveal.
Secret reveal, yes. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut two little pieces like this, and you can see I took off the other side, so it's sticky on one side. You are going to put the microphone, and you're gonna sandwich it right like this. Sticky part there, and then sticky part on top. So that's sticky. So you're gonna end up with a little one side sticky, one side felt sandwich with the microphone on the inside. Now, every microphone is going to be different. This one happens to have the tip of the microphone where all the audio comes in on the top, so I can sandwich it completely in. There are other microphones that might have like a round on the base, so you just want to make sure you don't cover that part whenever you're doing like this little sandwich. So then, let's take it off here. Always ask for permission. Can I drop this into your shirt?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you, cool. Don't just like
Best
start
part of my
grabbing,
day.
yeah. Try to get it and pull it out through the shirt. So you're always gonna wanna aim for the sternum area. Like this little dip inside the pectoral. Daniel, is that how you refer to it? The solar plexus one? Sure. Not too high, not too low. Just try to keep it right in the center. Let's stick it here. Keep pulling. Make sure it's straight. All right, that's good there. I'll let you button it up.
All right.
Now, obviously, right now we're lucky enough to have a wireless system that just goes directly into the camera. If you happen not to be, either can't afford or whatever, you have access to wired one, exactly the same procedure. Just drop it to the ground. Obviously, it wouldn't work for like a running scene or something, but if you're doing any type of dialogue, just as long as it's out of frame, out of mind. Okay, put this in your pocket somewhere. Try to tuck that in as best as possible, and you can probably pull it to the side. So I mentioned several sources of audio, which is always recommended. Because it's important to have a good cardioid mic on your lavalier just to be able to catch this particular area where the person's speaking. Bless you. But also it's good to have different ranges of audio, because this is great, but there's also different types of ambiances around. So you're gonna try to get a really like robust audio. So right now, we already have Sharina mic, and we already have Doug mic, and then ideally, we're going to do this today because, again, this is a tutorial, but ideally, you would also want a boom operator. Somebody that is going to be on script, booming from one actor to the other, depending on their lines. And then in your post-production, you're going to combine both lavaliers and the boom audio into one unit. And again, this is going to give it more of a more robust sound in not only your actors' voices, but also the space around them. Added to this, you also want to record what is called room tone. Room tone, for those who don't know, is basically... Oh, got Seth directing me. There we go, okay. Room tone, for those who don't know, is basically what is already there without your actor's dialogue or without their voice. So if everybody stays quiet right now, we can hear some shuffling in the back from the store. We can hear the air conditioner that is on, and I'm pretty sure there's other tiny little sounds that happen here and there. Traditionally, you want to get at least 30 seconds, or sometimes depending on the sound person, you get more. But you want to get a good amount of room tone, because in post-production, you want to lay this room tone down and then loop it, whatever your scene or whatever, that it takes place in this room, to overlap sounds. If I just record, let's say we're getting singles of Doug and singles of Sharina, if I just record Doug here, and then we cut to Sharina, the sound might not match. Things change, things get moved. Even like the fact that how the camera is positioned to shoot an actor creates an echo or absorbs sound. Like it's always going to change. It's always going to have like a little bit of nuance. And having what is called room tone keeps everything consistent. You're not thinking about like, oh, why does he sound a particular way? Pretty much the same, but different. Something's wrong versus when we're shooting her. So this creates the illusion of one single moment, one single event happening seamlessly. And the less you see the cuts, the less you think it's an actual movie or a TV show or whatever. You're more invested. You hide the seams. It's a way to hide the seams. It's as simple as that. Any questions about audio before we keep moving?
You want to get levels?
Sure. Nobody? We're good? Any internet? That was your job, Daniel. So, ideally, in a set, you want to get the audio to be recorded separately on an actual, ideally by an actual person that's their job, and also into an actual sound recorder. There's several reasons. The main reason is a sound recorder is going to be able to capture more dedicated sounds. It's going to have like a bigger range, and having somebody like on the mixer making sure that all the levels are proper for each actor, and they're not going to be one. It's going to be higher than the other, lower, etc. And making sure that every channel stays on their side and making sure that everything is balanced. That's going to be their job. Ideally, are we doing this today? No. Again, we're teaching a workshop, and obviously, if you can't manage a sound person, like sometimes I can, like depending on the shoot, I have to go directly to the camera. That can be okay. And again, you're going to try to do the best job that you can with the equipment that you have. So right now we are going directly to the camera, and then we are feeding it through HDMI to Seth on the mixer. So you all are going to be able to listen to once we're starting to shoot the scene. We might mute when we're actually doing the final recording. That way we don't get echo going into their microphones. Because again, hopefully when you guys shoot a film or a TV show or something, you don't have big speakers blasting like your actor's sound through it. Anything else?
Can you use the room tone to subtract sound? Like if you have the humming, is there a way?
Yes. Certain software is able to, if you map out the certain sounds, not everything, but certain sounds, if you map it out through the software, it can read it out and then subvert that specific tone or that specific level. And obviously, the more it has to be like consistent, and the more it doesn't overlap with certain levels of their voice or whatever other sound you're trying to capture, it's easier for the software. Depending on what you're doing, sometimes it works amazing, sometimes it's not perfect. So it's never something to rely on, but it's definitely a tool you can utilize depending on your particular situation. Another question over there?
What will be the best solution for 3 people and get 1 camera?
In terms of sound, 3 people, 1 camera. Well, you're saying because your camera has 2 inputs.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
They have 3 wires.
and no sound recorder. That's my challenge right now.
Yeah.
Okay. You could probably use a sound splitter. You could probably have a cable that will. I mean, it's not ideal, but the thing is, like, if you can't pull it off, then you can't pull it off. You need another piece of equipment.
Okay, so not to be that person, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you're shooting a scene with 3 people, get a box to record into. But if you can't do that, what I would do is I would get like your phone, right?
Oh, that is an option.
Get a smart lav.
That is true.
Have that one person lav that can record into their phone in their pocket, and you could clap. But
Yeah,
that is
and then
like
sync it.
super like do that one day and then go buy a sound box because Oh right. So the question was,
yes.
If you had 3 people but you were recording to a camera, you didn't have like a sound recording.
You only have 2 inputs. Yes, you don't have a sound recorder.
You don't have a sound recorder, so you don't have like a Zoom or something. But to be honest with you, they're not that expensive. So get a Zoom recorder. You could even buy a Zoom 1, which is like a little pocket one that has a mini
you're
in,
trying to record
and buy a cheap lav for like $100. In fact, some people prefer to do that. I've worked with people that prefer to buy little recorders and put them on each person separately, just because they never have to worry about radio signal. So that is a solution. You get a Zoom 1, or I guess it's still called that, the little baby one, or
the
something like that. Or
There's the Zoom H1, which
Yeah.
is like this
And
big.
that little audio
Last
technical.
I checked was like $80.
yeah, and then you get a little
89
Audio
bucks.
Technica, $20, microphone, lab, boom, 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 to make sure everybody's started and make sure you clap, because you're gonna have to take a main sound to. keep
Yeah,
it all together.
because even at that
Yeah.
budget, you're gonna get way better sound than like
Yeah,
direct
trying to
into
split
like
them,
a
I wouldn't-
DSLR
yeah,
or
oof.
something like that.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
don't wanna do
on the
that.
lower end. Somebody online also asked for how do would we do it if we're like during rain?
Rain?
Yeah, if you're shooting a scene during the rain.
Blame it on the rain.
The rest of the sound is very distorted when it rains.
I mean,
Oh, what? Why is sound distorted when it rains? Well, if you're using labs, you're pretty much only going to pick up the sound on the person. You probably won't hear the rain unless it's
Yeah.
really pouring. Then I
or
would
it's on 'em.
do room tone of rain and drop it on top.
yes,
Yeah.
and as a final alternative, ADR.
Right,
Yep.
ADR.
You know,
Yeah, that's oof.
re-record the lines post-production clean,
Yeah.
but you're still gonna have to like add rain sound to actually make it authentic. So
Yeah, by the way, I only actually got up because I wanted to show that I have a new Adorama jacket. Adorama jacket available here. No, maybe we should. People would buy them if they were available. Wouldn't you?
If they were available. Right?
if they were,
If they were available, would you buy an Adorama jacket? Because we could start a whole.
create the demand.
Pretend you're
Yeah.
working
And
there,
supply
walk
it.
out the door.
Yeah, I mean, I got the jacket. You know, you could pretend like you're working here. You could walk around. People ask you questions. You can answer them. Anyways, back to the thing. Sorry.
Any other questions for sound before we do the actual sound test? Nope. All right. You said you want to do some sound test.
Yep.
All right, let's do it.
I'll stand behind. Okay.
Our model, Daniel Norton, he's wearing that amazing.
Yes.
That's good, Trina. Actually, keep talking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So in this case, since we do not have like I said, a dedicated recorder to it, Dave's going to be monitoring the audio that goes directly to the camera right now from the two lavaliers. Make sure that each channel is, you know, proper to not only its own sound, but also leveled.
Are you only on me right now? Is this
I
just
was,
mine?
but now we're done with you. So, yeah.
It's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. You know, feeling it,
Method acting.
continuously talking. Just gonna keep going with that.
Yep.
And see how it goes. You know, keep it alive. Keep it alive.
Beautiful restaurant in New York City. that
Oh
we're
yeah.
in.
It's good.
We're good?
Okay.
Cool.
Base level is set.
Awesome. You want to start explaining what we're doing lighting-wise?
Are you?
Sure. Yeah. So we'll go over the lighting. Now that we got a base level for the audio, we'll make adjustments as we go. Like the first take, because we're kind of the way that we have this set up right now. Basically, our first take is we're gonna see any technical problems that we run into along the way. We shouldn't have too many of those, but yeah, you never know, right? It always happens. So
Making sure.
I guess, yeah, we'll go about lighting. What we have right here, which we have a Rotolite Neo 2, which they thankfully gave us to do this event. But it has on it one of the cool, like the reason why we're using this in particular for this scene, it has on it special effects, and one of the special effects that it has is a fire flicker effect. So you actually can set your kind of baseline of how bright you want the light to be at the bottom end, and how much it flickers and how often it flickers, as well as the color of the flicker. So it's pretty useful for that. And we're using it to kind of mimic this candle that's supposed to be on the table here. In this particular shot and the setup that we're doing in the event, we don't actually have the candle. It would involve, to get it in the shot, it would involve actually like lighting it and stuff, and we're a little iffy on that in this space. No, but we're using this to kind of mimic that candle effect. So what we did is raised the floor of the brightness on it, so it doesn't flicker. Like the variation between the highs and lows aren't massive, but we increased the flicker to be a decent speed because the little candle flame can whip around a lot if there's like air movement or like an air conditioner on. So naturally, that would be something that would happen. So it's kind of just trying to mimic like the light that it should be, right? Yeah.
Sure.
We have, that's not doing a whole lot of lighting to the actors' faces. It's going to give something, right? But that amount is potentially going to be, they'll still be kind of in shadow, especially how we're going to be setting the camera, which we'll go over camera settings in a bit. But they'll still kind of be in the shadow. I don't think it's going to be our primary light on them, or rather, the areas where it's not hitting, right, like the shadows created from it, will not look good, right, because the light's shooting up at them, and so it's going to kind of look a little odd and weird. So we're going to do a kind of a fill / key in a sense with this guy, probably the Area 300. We're probably going to put some scrims in it to knock down the power a bit, but we're going to shoot them through, behind Fernando is a road rags on the ground.
Oh.
So we have diffusion panel here, and that's going to be, this will be shot through this to make it flatter, more even, and softer. So it's going to look nicer on our actors' faces. So we could go with a hard light, that would be more realistic in the situation, right? If you were really sitting there and the candle was really the thing that was lighting you, it would be a hard light. It's a tiny little flame, and our heads are much bigger than it. But on camera, it doesn't always look so nice to have a hard light coming from down below, directing your actors or your model if you're doing photography. So that's why we go soft.
Now that said, that doesn't mean that if you're shooting something and that is what you're going for, go for it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like it is really a taste thing. The scene we're doing today, which is a scene from A Beautiful Mind, is supposed to be like really romanticized. Like he's basically like finding a way to propose to her. And this particular scene is shot really like nice and pleasant, and obviously the light, and we were actually discussing just before starting exactly what Dave just said. Like it's a tiny little light. It would be really flickering and really hard light, whatever, but the light looks beautiful on Jennifer Connelly on the scene, which is completely unrealistic. But again, you're going for a feeling, you're going for a mood, you're going for a particular style. If you're going for something more realistic and gritty, for sure, you can totally just have like hard light, flicker. But it is just a quick reminder that it is a taste thing. It's something that you as a filmmaker, as a DP, it's a choice you're making. And if that's something that you prefer, then you prefer that.
Right, and also it's like, what is the important part of this scene? The important part of this scene is essentially this kind of love story in a way, between the two of them, and kind of, we want to see their reactions and the subtleties of their face, and like how they're thinking just by looking at their reaction to what's being said. And that's much more difficult to do when it's a tiny little candle flickering around. So it all kind of plays into each other. And then in the back, we've got this Lastolite background that we decided to use because we don't actually have a brick wall over here.
Sorry, guys, no brick wall.
I know it looks kind of real, right? No. So we're using this, and it's the collapsible pop-up backdrops, and we've got it on a C-stand to kind of keep it upright, pretty much. Because of the size of it, right, 5x7, we did pull back a little bit and zoom in on the lens to kind of compress the background so the background would get a little bit larger.
We're at a 50 right now?
We are, but we may adjust it. The camera is not totally set as far as where it's going to be, but that background, if we only have this front light and this light, which is going to be the kind of fill on the characters, that may not be a very dynamic background, right? Like it might end up being a little too flat, a little too dim, just kind of looking a little off, right? Like, oh, it's just a background put behind him. So if we throw another light on that to kind of give it almost like a little spot on it, it'll help feather the background and at least give some sort of visual differentiation, as well as potentially covering over any dark areas, right? Because if we're not backlighting our subjects so much, if we don't, right? If we're not backlighting our subjects, then the background behind them, if that is also dark, you might lose part of them, like their hair and stuff like that in it. So there's a little bit of playing around that we're going to do to try to
Yeah,
kind of
there's
get
always
that tweaked right.
to give a shot dimensionality. You always want to add a certain level of separation. Now your traditional thing is just to to backlight it. Just add a rim of light, and that will separate your actor, your character from the background. But there's a lot of ways to add separation and depth. In this case, not only in the actual scene, but the way we're pulling it out right now is to have separation by having the background not only different in color, but also in terms of the way it's lit. In terms of exposure. That way, you're still gonna, as long as we don't lose anything from Sharina's head in terms of her dark hair, and it's contrasting enough from the background, that is separation. You don't always need a backlight. And again, just like we said, everything's a choice. So we're gonna see how this one particularly works.
I'm looking for the very gel pen. It's going to be good.
So what we're gonna do for this one is we're gonna start with a 2-shot. The chunk that we took from this scene is just basically at the end. If any of you remember the movie, he walks in late, gives her a gift. She's a little bit bummed, and then she finally cheers up before he's trying to muster the courage in order to propose. So we're going to start with the muster. So this is just where him trying to find a reason, some verifiable data of why they should be together, and the scene actually takes place just right here, just in this space, just between him and her, like kneeling down, looking at her, and her kind of like just analyzing the situation, etc. So it is a really small area that we actually need to cover. So we're fine in terms of like the background, even though it's a little bit narrow. If you can book a restaurant and make everything, big and nice, great. If you have to shoot in a store, that's what we got.
You'll find that you cheated a lot, the location.
Yes.
When you shoot,
Do
especially
not
indie
be afraid to
films.
cheat in filmmaking. Do not be afraid to cheat, because you have to. Like, it's... What is...
I want to see how it's gonna come out after. Like,
Geez, pressure now. Ooh, so early.
I'm pretty sure it happens a lot. We just never know.
You're not going to answer? Got it. Oh, God. Oh, God. Anyway, yeah, hopefully we did a good job. We have, we end up cutting these and posting them online, so all the other ones you can see online as well, and hopefully we, hopefully you approve. But yeah, we'll see what we can get away with this one. Any questions before we move? Are we good?
So I think what we should probably do right now is set the camera position and everything, and then we'll kind of shift through the lights to show, because we're going to have to fine tweak the lights anyway. So we'll shift through the lights and kind of show setting those up and where they're going to live.
Carry on.
Yeah. Yes, we're shooting this all with this one camera. This is a Canon C100, and we've got a
18 to 80
yeah.
power zoom.
Yeah.
So this particular lens happens to be a zoom that covers from 18 millimeters to 80. We would normally, I personally like to shoot with primes whenever possible, and you adapt to that. This right now just gives us the flexibility from jump from one lens measurement to the other a little bit more seamlessly. If you're curious, obviously always ask, what are we shooting on? Just in order for you to be able to see, like, oh, this is what a 35 is giving me, or this is what an 80 is giving me. But yes, at the end of the day, I personally, again, still recommend that you shoot with primes whenever possible. But if a zoom is all you got, zoom is all you got. And this is what we got today. So let's try to find the first frame.
Yeah, okay. So what we'll do is we'll get the actors in their place.
Yeah. Yeah, are we going to kill these lights, Dave?
Yep. Well, while
yet.
we get the camera position,
Sure.
we don't need to kill those.
Okay.
What we're really looking at right here is just our actors' positions, so and kind of like how we're going to frame this shot, which we had said that we wanted to kind of come in like this. I'm worried that we probably need to raise up the camera.
Sharina?
That too.
What do you want to raise?
The camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Go.
Probably like here. So kind of looking down-ish on both, but not really. And then we want to treat them a little closer together.
Okay.
Do you want me to move?
Yes, if possible.
So this is kind of our rough spot. Now, for this particular scene, I don't know. I'm gonna ask Fernando on this one because we'll say he's directing on this one.
Sure.
Do we want them on the same or a closer focal plane?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I don't know what our aperture is right now. It might not matter.
Yeah,
Let's shift you,
'cause right
Doug,
now
a little bit this way.
Right
And
now,
let's try to keep
what I'm asking
you
him
and
is
both you and Joanna's
where they
heads in the
just
same parallel
were.
right here.
They
Right there.
they were in different focal planes, so each of them, which even now they still are obviously, but basically we would only be able to have one in focus at a time, which is a good effect you can utilize, for kind of audience attention reasons, right? Like generally what's in focus, your audience is going to look at. So if your camera operator is able to focus to and from the characters as they're talking, then it kind of helps persuade your audience to look at the person that's talking as they're talking. There's more to it than that, but that's an overgeneralization. But for this particular case, because we're going to try to keep it as simple as possible, we want them to be more on the same plane with each other, so it's just a little easier on us right now. Still allowing us to be a little more shallow in the depth of field, making the background, that brick wall, be a little bit out of focus. That's kind of what we're going for.
Okay.
They're just asking the settings. We're not set up yet.
Yeah, we're not set up yet. Well, quite yet. Although settings that are not going to change for this is our ISO is 850 because that is the native or base ISO of
On this particular
the
camera.
C100. Most cinema cameras, it's around there. It's usually around 800-ish.
Probably good to explain why it's always good to stay closer to your base ISO on your camera.
Yeah. So as if you're coming from the photography world, I guess you might already know some of the higher ISO meaning more grain or noise or whatever, but that's kind of part of it, right? The reality of it is that essentially, yeah, if you go up, I mean, this is kind of just a general reasoning behind this, right? Like if you go too high up in your ISO, you end up with a noisy image, and it kind of becomes unusable. And if you go below the native ISO, what will happen is you actually lose dynamic range. So you'll lose information in your shadows or highlights, basically, if you go up or down beyond your beyond the native ISO. So it's just usually a good idea to just leave it at 800. That kind of doesn't get into like all the exact details of it, but it's,
This is a rule of thumb.
yeah. So you can go higher than that, but generally try not to do that if you can avoid it. And then we're at a 48th of a second shutter speed, which is 180-degree shutter angle because we're shooting 24 frames per second. Usually, unless you're going for a particular effect, you want your shutter angle or your shutter speed to be double what your frame rate is. So 24 frames per second becomes 48th of a second shutter speed. If you go faster than that, you get this kind of staccato effect when you have a lot of motion. And slower than that can also cause oddities and blurriness that doesn't necessarily need to be there.
Ghosting.
Yeah. We're shooting at 3200 Kelvin, which is tungsten and white balance. And we may play with that a little bit, but that's mostly because the lights that we're using are tungsten lights with the exception of the Neo, but that is set to a kind of tungsten white balance. It's actually set below that. I think it's at 3150 or
Somewhere on there, actually, yes.
little, like just slightly below tungsten, but it'll probably read as the same, I'm guessing. So we're kind of adjusting other things. Our aperture, we're going to keep it at t4.4, which, again, going from stills, it's like a f4. I would assume that that's as wide open as this lens goes as well, so we're all the way open,
Okay.
which is nice.
Should we start building the lighting?
Yeah, and also I think that this is probably going to look better if I give it 2 stops of ND. So the image right now is pretty low. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We may or may not need the ND and how we adjust our aperture accordingly. We'll see.
Question.
We'll see with the lighting.
You have to black balance these cameras.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question is, you have to black balance the cameras. It's a good idea to black balance. A lot of cameras, especially older cameras, even like some of the older cinema cameras, don't even have a black balance. So I'm going to say have to? No,
Yes, whenever you can.
but yes. Yeah.
Is the answer,
Yeah.
I would say. Anything else before we move? Yes?
Coming from a person shooting with photography, do you use meter readers?
The light meters?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we're normally shooting a scene, it's kind of sometimes is the answer to that, but basically, if I have a scene that I need to get a certain f-stop for, right? Like we decided in pre-production that we're going to shoot this scene at 5.6, and we just need that to be lit properly for that. Then when we're lighting the scene before we go to shoot, I'm going around with the light meter to make sure that anywhere that the actors are going to be is going to be at 5.6. Or, if the director says, oh, okay, well, we want to be 1 stop under or whatever, then I go, okay, well then we make the adjustment. So, kind of yes, right? But sometimes if we're just doing a quicker scene or whatever, especially if it's a very, very small crew or whatever, and the production is for the most part like just us, I don't often use the light meter because a lot of it is just kind of play by eye, right? What looks good? Does that look good? Then it's correct, right? It doesn't have to be on exposure exactly unless that's the specifications of that particular scene or film or whatever.
And then you also have other tools. One of the ones we like is when you're on the monitor.
Oh, like exposure
Yes.
tools? Yeah. I mean, if you're already lit or you're not controlling the lighting in the scene or whatever, and you're only looking at your camera's exposure, right, to get like proper exposure that way, there's the Waveform Monitor, which is essentially, it's kind of like a histogram in a way, but that shows you your exposure level across the image. And then there's also things like a lot of monitors have, which is false color and stuff like that, that help you get your exposure.
They're asking online the difference between or how do you do the difference between a T-stop and an F-stop for photographers?
Okay. So
Yeah, it's another application.
yeah, so it's an interesting one. But basically, a T-stop is actually that's the final amount of light that is transmitted through the lens. So at the end of the day, that is your exact measurement of how much light is hitting the sensor. And an f-stop is saying, okay, I've blocked out this much, essentially.
Yes. So f-stop is going to change sometimes from lens to lens in photography, while t-stop is always going to be the same no matter what.
Yeah. So like an f4 on a stills lens, for example, like if you have one brand or quality of that particular lens or whatever, it may have a slightly different exposure level versus another one would, even though they're both at...
Even though they're both f4s or f8s or whatever it happens to be.
A T-stop, it is what it is.
It's always going to be a T-stop.
Because it's measured afterwards.
All right. Anything else before we start moving? We're good. Let's go. You have one?
Daniel's got it. Okay, so are you comfortable with this positioning?
Yes, as much as, there we go.
So we'll
Pan down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Or tilt down a little bit. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that. Sure. Just make sure, because I'm seeing a little bit of black on each side. Make sure we're nice and tight on them. And I can get actors. Doug, don't be afraid of her. I know, but please, you be a professional.
She's a little bit scary sometimes.
Yeah.
Hate.
They'll love Sharina. Come on.
Hate us.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that. Just make sure that the
Cool.
edges are fine.
Also, it looks like nobody balanced the camera. So we'll
Yeah,
go over that.
bounce.
We'll talk about balancing the camera real quick. So there's a few things here. Most video cameras have, and I'm talking really hard into the microphone. Most video cameras have several methods of balancing your camera. There's a bubble level here and kind of a tightener. But essentially, just get that leveled. I mean, that's as a starting point. Just get this leveled. With that, you'll want to balance your camera center of gravity to be in the middle of the tripod head. So, I mean, a very basic estimate is just to kind of like, I guess, roughing it, is to loosen up the tripod head and the quick release plate, and get it to a position where, like, if I put the camera all the way forward, you see how it's like tilting down. So you want to get it to a position that it's not doing that. This is kind of the roughing it way that many people will do with extremely lightweight cameras, that it's not such a big deal. When you go with larger cameras, obviously there's other methods that the tripods usually have in there to fine tune it, and that way you're not being unsafe with it, but have that possibility of the camera slipping. Okay, so let's reposition.
Just gonna change the batteries here real quick.
It's a headless.
Yeah,
Yes.
very.
Someday you'll be so famous there'll be a stand-in for you.
Till then. Alrighty. Should we kill the lights even if we go dark and then start building it up?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go dark for people on the internet. Yeah, no worries.
So they see some sort of motion.
Yes.
All right, so this is what we have so far. This is also with 2 stops of ND. If we turn off, clear. If we turn off all the ND, we're looking at this.
Gotta look good.
I feel like that's probably not quite there. This light needs to be adjusted. Also, I would like to use a gel. So I'll give the pack to Fernando.
Sure. What are we doing?
Now we got the flicker set.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think? We probably should go. So we were kind of fine tuning the flicker amount and the level. Like here we can kind of see it. It's subtle enough, I think. It's there, but it's not overbearing, you know? So I don't know if you guys can see, but you see like on their faces how you see that subtle flicker to it. That's kind of all we want. We don't want it to be crazy powerful or anything like that, over the top.
Now what are you gonna need for the 300?
So I do want to gel this. I think we should go even warmer than we have it.
Warmer. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see what we got.
The 300, you were saying that potentially you wanted to have a little more side lit, right? Or do you
We'll
think?
see. I mean, as long as it's supposed to be recreating this, so.
So we want to go more overhead in the front.
Somewhat, yes.
Okay.
Not be too much. Okay, you work on that. I will find a gel here.
So the other thing too, because we've got this light coming in, if it's coming in from roughly the same position, I feel like we'll run into the issue where it's going to overpower the flickering light. If we come in from the side with this, I think we can manage to we can edge them out. I don't know, what do you guys think in the audience? Do you think we should make this more of a backlight, or like to kind of further separate them from the background, or should we go in from the front? Or do you think we even need it at all? I guess that would be the question. What do you guys think? Do you think in backlight?
I think the backlight definitely.
Yeah?
That's like the first thing.
Yeah, I think we tend to go with the backlight. Again, this is kind of like we were saying earlier, right? The backlight may not be natural or super realistic, but I think it might make this look nicer or more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look pretty good.
Go for it.
Yeah, this is actually doing a pretty good job in the front. Yeah. Yep.
All right, go for it.
I am in agreement with this.
Alrighty.
General consensus says backlight.
This guy
Nope.
Sharina has never done this much amount of work.
Okay, strike 2.
Yeah, I know. You only get 3 of
Third.
those.
I'll save the third one for a good one.
I think
The waiting around is part of our job.
I know. Hurry up and wait.
that's because Fernando's not doing enough.
That's Fernando's.
Yeah.
Daniel
By the way, when you're on site, it's always a good idea to just practice. No, I'm just kidding.
He's on his
That's
knees
right.
with pain. There's blood.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Here, if you,
Pain in his face.
yeah, if you want this, kneeling on some dirt might actually be a little bit more comfortable.
Oh, I love how David.
If he does it
sound
long
good.
enough, he just loses feeling and good.
Yeah, see, that's nice.
What were they asking me? If I agree on much?
Yes.
This is going.
Do you often have to spend so much time just sitting around physically in a shot?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
The,
Yes.
the
Kinda.
joke the joke in the
Depends.
film industry is hurry up and wait.
If you're
Adorama
important
doesn't
enough
really
to have a, like you said, a stand-in, then you have somebody that is their job.
Yeah,
If-
but
if
there's
the- if
still,
the-
there is still
Yes,
somebody.
on the lower end, yes. Well, you're still gonna have to wait for everything else to get prepared for sure.
And Adorama doesn't give us a trailer, so we're really, this is low budget.
Yes, this is sorry, sure.
Ouch.
This is under your.
bites back.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
All right.
No,
just
don't.
Let's make it happen. Let's just share with the.
Another.
Also, ideally, you're not teaching a workshop while you're shooting, so that saves a little bit of time as well.
I could reveal some secrets. No. Okay.
No.
So. I thought we might have another one over here.
What are you looking for?
Thought that we took one. You can't set it up to the side.
No idea.
Then I'm gonna take this off. Or no. This.
Yes,
You see what I need to do, right?
I think so. Okay, so right now we're moving equipment around. We're changing a grip head from one of the C-stands to the other. It's boring, but a necessity. Any other questions there?
So you guys beforehand that you wanted to shoot at a 5.6 aperture?
No.
Like, is that the f-stop? Like, what's the 5.6? Is that the ratio?
The 5.6? No, the 5.6 is the aperture. Yes.
The aperture.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But are you shooting for ratio, like in terms of lighting the faces, or?
Not particularly. You can. Sorry, what? Ah, thank you. See, this is we have the host teaching me how to host. No, I'm being asked here if we chose 5.6 and then did the ratio off of that. No, we're basically we had a couple of parameters that we just needed to complete, and everything else is right now we're basically doing it by eye. We could. Choose a ratio, and obviously if you have the freedom and time, you can perfect that and make sure that everything is to your liking in that sense. Right now we are keeping it a little bit loose and just judging it by eye, which might seem either less professional or just like no. It literally, especially nowadays with these cameras, you're not shooting film, you're not need to overcalculate some stuff. So just by eye. You can get where you need to go for sure, and obviously knowing your camera, because knowing what your camera can give you.
But if you have to, let's say you have to do a pickup later on, or shoot some more footage, and you want.
Yes, obviously. Again,
absolutely.
don't get me wrong. We're cheating a lot of stuff right now because it's a tutorial, and if you know that it's something that you're going to be, like shooting, and that is going to be a self-contained thing. For sure, but if I'm a DP and I have my first AC and my second AC, he's already taking notes. Everything from the where the sensor is to the floor, to the sensor to your talent, to all the information in the camera. Everything's in a notebook. Again, if we're doing it professional, we're doing it legit. So.
Any change you should.
Yeah,
you should
any
write down.
change, sort of aperture,
and that
all
kind
the
of
information.
That kind of goes with the lighting too. Like it's a good idea too. If you didn't do a lighting diagram or anything like that beforehand, right? This is a shot that maybe you didn't or a scene that was previously unscripted and it's been added to the script or whatever, and you just have to kind of get it together and you're eyeballing it now. Then make note of every light, the positioning, the power. What's in front of it, how far in front the diffusion is from the light, things like that. It seems like it's tedious work or whatever, but at the end of the day, it'll really help you replicate it if you have to keep going, like you have to do a reshoot another day. Also, I like to take pictures too. So when I'm on set, I just kind of like snap pictures of, just so I have like a mental note, oh, right, this was that setup, or this is that setup. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on this backlight without anything, just to kind of show how it's going to look. So I'm going to blind Seth and probably Daniel and some of the audience. Okay, so you can see that is crazy bright, crazy hard, right? Now if I just kind of hand hold this diffusion in front, you can see how much that cleans up those highlights on them. So we want to do that for sure. So let's start with that. So I just kind of want to push it in just a little bit. We're just kind of cleaning it up. And then I'm going to drop in a scrim. Yeah. So these are the scrims. We can see here, there's, you can't really see it too much right now, but this is, well, you can see it's green. All right. That's a single. And these red ones are a double. The single is a half stop reduction of light, and the doubles are one stop reduction of light. And I feel like this needs at least a double. So I'm going to drop it in, drop the light, and I think it could do with another. That's pretty good to me. We'll fine tweak that a little bit, but oh, that's good, right? I think we're getting there. Okay.
Are we going to do the data light on the?
Yep. So the next step is, which is the last light that we're adding, because I think it might kind of add a little bit to it, but we'll see real quick. This data light on the background, and we'll start with it cranked up all the way, too much, because that's how we'll know exactly where it is. I want to kind of spot it, point it down, reduce the power a bit, like this, and then raise her up a bit. Okay. Spread it just a tad.
Sherry Allen.
Oh, that's easy. I didn't say that. I don't know either.
Just wanted to make it hard and very important.
Any questions while Dave is finessing the rear light? Yes.
You talked about this a little bit earlier with zoom lenses. So say something arbitrarily like a 30 millimeter to a 60 millimeter
Sure.
versus just like a pure 30 millimeter. What's lost in the zoom lens? You were mentioning you would prefer to use if you're not zooming or anything, you should use just the.
For sure. So the question is, what is lost if you're shooting with a zoom versus a prime lens?
Yes.
So basically, prime lenses, and there's a bunch of little reasons, but my personal favorite is two things. One, primes usually use less glass, which means less elements to deteriorate your shot. Obviously depends on quality, depends on a lot of things, but just in general terms, you are going to get more of a clear, more true to the lens image if you use a prime. Other than that, there's also usually you will be able to get more fast lenses with a wider aperture if they're primes, and also more affordable. And finally, on the creative side, it's always I like staying with primes because it helps you creatively. You know, like every time you're shooting something, you know, a challenge or a certain limitation of adapting to something makes you discover, you know, maybe you hadn't thought about, you know, shooting a wide with a certain lens or a close up with another certain lens. Like we love to do singles with a 35 or sometimes even like a 24 or a 28 because you feel a little bit closer to your subject because you are physically closer, and that, you know, gives you something just like a telephoto will give you another feeling. So working with primes in that way will help you also creatively, I find. Exactly.
Yeah.
How are we looking, Dave?
Yeah, I think we're pretty set up.
Pretty set up?
Okay, so...
On which one?
Yeah, which one?
Okay, online they're asking if we're using a tungsten Fernado lens.
We do. In
Yes.
the back, there's an ARRI 300. That is a tungsten Fresnel light. That is going through, it's going through right here. You can see it back here. That's going through this Road Rags diffusion panel. So it's kind of diffusing it, softening it up a tiny bit, just so our highlight, our backlights on our subjects is not crazy and blown out, which I kind of showed when we first turned it on. It looked kind of gross.
And also the other lighting the
Yeah,
background
this is technically
brick.
not a Fresnel, but it is a tungsten light. It actually uses an aspheric lens, but very similar concepts there. And this one, yeah, we've got kind of hitting the background here, and that's just adding a little bit. If you look at the camera shot, minus this front light here.
Cool. Let's
know.
get to shooting.
If you look at the shot, you can see right in here, this space, that's caused by which is a data light.
Yes.
And then, of course, we have the LED in the front, which is giving us that flicker and front light.
Alrighty, so we should start shooting.
Yep.
If we're happy with everything lights. Are you guys happy with everything? Shouldn't even ask. Yes?
If you were using a prime, what would be on
Oh, what are we at right now, Dave, on the lens?
Oh, right now we are 55.
We're at a 55, which again, you could achieve the same with a 50 and adapting a little bit. Like me personally, I own a 55, so this would be perfect for me. But, you know. So yeah, so let's start. We did the sound check, everything's good. Final check on battery so it doesn't die on us, we're good.
Yeah, somebody's scratching. Oh, that's sure enough, I think. No, not sure enough.
Did you just drop your mic
I
into
did.
your sweater?
I did.
Okay, Dave dropped his mic, that's what we're hearing. Okay,
blaming the actor?
always.
Listen, I got my name.
Alrighty. Sneak in a little bit more.
I mean, I saw you playing with your hair. Not playing with, but fixing. So I'm like, oh, that noise.
Alrighty. So
Excuses.
let's start go.
Oh.
So let's do rehearsal. We're gonna put the actors. We're gonna put the actors on the speakers, so here the audience and you guys online can listen to them. And
That's
then
really
once we
loud.
actually do like an actual recording, we're gonna kill those speakers, so people online as well might go mute. That way we can get pretty good audio for the actual recorded scene.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah,
So-
because the
You guys ready
right
for
now it's
rehearsal?
going through the
Yeah.
speakers, and
Cool. Alrighty.
that would have badly affect
Then-
our audio.
Let's do rehearsal up, and whenever you guys are ready, guys.
Alicia, does our relationship warrant a long-term commitment? Because I need some kind of proof, some kind of verifiable empirical data.
I'm sorry, just give me a moment to redefine my girlish notions of romance. A proof? Verifiable data? Okay. Well, how big is the universe?
Infinite,
How do you know?
because all of the data indicates it.
But it hasn't been proven yet.
No,
Have you seen it?
no,
How do you know for sure?
I don't. I just believe it.
It's the same with love, I guess. Now the part that you don't know is if I want to marry you.
And that's a cut. The over. Yeah, you can clap. Sure. Yeah, of course. The clapping is free. So yeah, that's the basic scene. You know, just quick conversation. Like we said, we're going to start getting the two shot right here, and then we're going to go into for a single of Doug and then a single of Sharina, and probably hopefully cut it all together so they can have something to use for the reel.
So we are now unplugged.
So yeah, now we're going to go for an actual take. We're going to unplug. So again, people online might not hear this, and we're going to stop broadcasting through the speaker. Let me know when you're ready, Dave. Are you guys ready? Do you need anything?
No, we're good.
You're good?
Actually, let me just take a little sip of my water.
Hydrate.
Yeah, that'd be good. Do you need water?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Ease in. Take your time, guys. You don't feel...
Not on me now.
Thank you, Director.
Okay. You ready, Dave?
I believe so.
Yeah, hold on though. Well, yeah, you can shut it now.
Let's see. Yeah.
You good? Okay, so it's always good to yell, "Quiet on set!" Because you never know. So you always check. You always check with your DP or camera op or whatever, and your sound person. Everything good?
Good here. Good here.
Yeah.
Good here.
Good here. Okay, good. Enough to move on, or do you want to do another take? How are we doing on time?
Well, as per usual, we're
1:30.
running a little late here, right?
Yeah, we love to run
Oh,
a
we
little late.
But we started late.
Okay.
So
if we got it, let's move.
okay. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
We'll go
let's-
one take wonders for the first second.
Yeah, one take wonders, sure.
Yeah.
Let's jump to Sharina.
Yep.
Okay, and then we'll get Doug at the end. So let's start moving camera.
Okay. So if you want to move camera, and I will move.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Basically, what we're going to have to do is, you'll see in a moment, we're going to have to cheat that background
Yes.
a bit,
We're most likely going to have to cheat that background, yes.
or replacing it with something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yes. Yes, we did a record. Who's asking? What?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get good actors.
So the
Ballers
question then
indeed.
is, do we want to go with the background again, or if we want to mix it up?
Check it in black first, and then if it works in black, we might just be able to do that.
We've got this here. I feel like hiding. I feel like
how are you gonna be?
if we make the background too different, in this case, right, that it will feel a little jarring when we do the cuts.
You want to try the
Yeah.
break? You can totally do that.
I feel like we should cheat with the brick. Now we're gonna have to move it in such a position that yeah, exactly. We gotta try to make it look somewhat natural there. And I think, although I can't. Yeah.
brick moves.
It does move.
How close are you going to be to her? That was about where it was. That's fine. You want it? There we go, right there.
That's what I call it, closer.
Look at him, Sharina.
That was a simple little change in the background to kind of make it work. Yeah, go ahead and stand up and.
Stretching as I squat.
So we're gonna get it work.
So for people back home, I don't know if you happen to catch that, we ended up moving our brick wall a little bit more to the side to still create the effect that it's a longer running brick wall.
Which you could do with an actual brick wall if the brick wall is a little too short. You do the same thing by cheating the whole set a little
Yes,
off
you
to
can
the
cheat
side.
your actors.
If
We
you
did the
want to
same
get that feeling.
on one of the other dialogue days. We made it look like our windows here in the background, the ones that are naturally there, like if the panels actually kept going wider and wider that they are by cheating the actors from one side, stretching it, and then jumping to the other side and then stretching the other side.
Yeah, doing that will make the space feel bigger.
Yes.
You know, which, especially in New York City, you kind of need.
Are we happy with the frame?
Yeah.
All right, can we kill the studio lights? Okay.
And we'll do the rehearsal? Or
Or just shoot it, so where you go.
Yeah, we should be able to just shoot it, but we'll try to. What?
what is Daniel's like?
Yeah, no, I know. I want to. I think you might be more shadow. I saw that. I know. Okay, control.
That's this guy.
Let's see. Yeah, that's the light. Okay, we're adjusting the dado light on the background just to make sure that that's fine. It doesn't hit our actors. Which should be good here. Look at him, Shrina.
I gotta crank adjust it.
All right.
Tad. Okay.
Turn down. What do you think about getting the rotor light a little bit closer?
A little bit.
Okay. So,
Just to maybe come this way.
yeah.
Just a little
shoot
bit.
A little bit more.
There. That's good.
Right there. Okay, so we're moving the rotor light, the flicker fire, a little bit closer. It's pumping up our exposure and also getting a little bit more frontal to Sharina. I think I want a little bit more.
Yep.
Let's see.
And C74. Make it work.
Okay. All right, and Dave is now adjusting the scrim on the background a little bit, which is going to add as their backlight / kind of side fill. Any questions before we go for a shoot? We're good. Anything online, Daniel? No? Okay. Okay, we're almost there. What was that? Yeah, I'll let him know.
Okay. That's better actually.
Okay. All right, Doug, can we have you like you were?
Okay.
There we go. That's nice. So, all right, so before we go for this take, I'm going to go over it really quick. We ended up moving the fake collapsible brick wall a little bit to the side to make the shot feel like the brick wall was longer than it actually was. We got the rotor light, flicker light, a little bit closer to Sharina, is a little bit more flattering as well. and a little bit more frontal, because on the side it was creating like too much, shadows on her face. Then Dave moved the silk and /fill a little bit closer to them to make it a little bit nicer also.
It's
Obviously we have
similar-
to adjust the dado light to be lighting the brick wall as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to keep it. Close looking to the other one while making it
Still
stand
look
on
nice.
its own. a little more.
Exactly. So again, we're gonna cut the sound one more time. So we go for the take.
Okay.
All right, let me know. All right, and we got that side. Again.
You want to do that again?
I gotta move. All right, so let's flip it around and let's get Doug. What? You want to do one more? Okay. The executive producer says we can do one more.
Yay!
Okay, so let's do it one more time.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna do the other one with their audio again. Oh, okay. All right. So they want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it one more time.
They're missing out on the good stuff.
All right, we'll do one more with the audio going to the online for our audience.
This cable is all the way
It hasn't been proven yet.
Look at that.
Are we good?
That'll be fixed.
All right. Let's go for one more take.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. Roll up.
Was that? Yes.
Just kill the speakers here, though, so that way, yeah,
All right.
that way it goes through with the camera, so that echo.
There. Okay.
What?
Roll.
Oh, I see.
Try it.
Camera speed.
And you're ready.
Alicia, does our relationship warrant a long-term commitment? Because I need some kind of proof, some kind of verifiable empirical data.
I'm sorry. I just need a moment to redefine my girlish notions of romance. A proof, verifiable data. Okay. Well, how big is the universe?
Infinite,
How do you know?
because all of the data indicates it.
But it hasn't been proven yet?
No,
You haven't seen it.
no,
How do you know for sure?
I don't. I just believe it.
It's the same with love, I guess. Now, the part that you don't know is if I want to marry you.
And it's cut.
Camera cuts.
All right. Let's flip it around.
Yep.
Take a little break if you want, Doug. Sure. Just while we move
You
stuff
wanna
around.
camera
Sharina,
again and
you
then-
can stay sitting.
Say in my break.
All right. So let's start. We're gonna flip the room around.
Think? What do they like? Or not like?
Second, but sure. Where do you want? Where's the other?
We're gonna go like right here on him.
Okay, we can make that happen.
Just gonna flip it around. We're gonna flip the camera around to be
Moving
able
it
to
over
get
here, perhaps?
Doug's. What was that?
Staying with audio. Is audio still coming from the camera or not?
We might do one more with audio for them. Yes. What was that? What do you need?
Here you go.
Oh, yeah.
You're thinking right here, right?
Yes.
Okay. The question is, do we think that he would actually be behind the? Well, I don't think so.
We can see how it looks first, and then see if we need it or not.
We've got this gray background.
Sure. We're gonna do this guy over here. You think? The C300, the 300.
Yeah.
That just gets coming out of the headphones. That makes it into a monitor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty. What was that? Maybe. Sorry.
I'm gonna move this off to the side for right
Alrighty.
now.
I'm also gonna move this light a little bit
Sure,
further
sure.
away. Let's turn this guy off for now. Move it away. So I'm moving the dado onto the side until we realize that we need it. Just getting that out of the way. I'm gonna check my camera. No, I know. It was off. I'm gonna turn it on again.
Okay, so just while they're switching up the set, because it's going to take a second, and because I have to talk once every little bit, otherwise I don't get paid. It's part of my salary. For everybody online, and even you guys who are sitting here, they're going to actually cut this together into a proper scene, and I'll put the link to it in the comments of this video, because this will be on AdoramaTV. So if you guys want to see this thing put together properly, I know online they can't hear the sound we're recording. That's because this is not a normal situation. We're basically pushing our camera system through a multicam so you guys can watch and also so we can stream it. So it's not ideal, but we are recording into the camera. So we will get a good finished scene with proper audio and whatever. And we'll, usually Dave gets them
Yeah, I
done
think
pretty
we're not
quickly.
gonna
I don't want to put
need it.
a
Right, it's
time
very
limit
good.
on him. 6 months. No, it would be faster than that. He'll basically cut it together and he'll throw it on, and he'll put it up on, I think he puts it usually on his YouTube, which is Dave Brusca. But we will put a link in this video, so you guys will see the finished thing. So at least you can kind of see how it goes together. We did, I think one of the first times we did this, we actually tried to edit it live, and it's very boring. So, I mean, to be honest, it was like watching paint dry.
Yeah, sure.
It was worse than that because you didn't get like the good paint smell. You know what I'm saying? So,
All right.
I guess we could paint while we do it next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Because this is a single camera shoot, which is typically how you shoot this kind of stuff. So we are going to be putting the takes together into a finished product. Cool. Right. Sharina insists on it. Actually, it'll be done fast because Sharina's involved and she insists on speed. Right?
Yes.
It's part of our contract.
Do I have a contract?
Of course. Contract.
You could, yeah.
Okay, so are we going dark behind him or are we going to do bricks? I guess that's the decision. Because earlier they moved the bricks, if you remember.
Right. The question is, because the angle is so much further, right?
Yeah.
That in a more natural environment, would there potentially be
exactly.
a different...
So right, that's exactly what's happening. Is
I'm
would it
thinking-
make sense that there would be a brick there? I mean, only if you put it here, and then like where would everything else have come from? So
Right, yeah. I'm thinking
they're not
that-
in a box.
Yeah, I think that in this environment, the restaurant that they're in, this brick wall is like an accent wall.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
something like that. So
theoretically, the rest of the restaurants back there, we don't
gray.
have a restaurant, so we're gonna green screen in, just like Avatar, a restaurant. We're not gonna do that at all.
Keep promising stuff.
That's
that
not
we're
gonna happen
doing.
at all. There's not gonna be
Yes.
any kind of green screening. It's just gonna be gray.
but we could do something.
You could put dots.
Yeah.
You could put a pattern back there or something.
Can we?
We could put a waiter back there. The last time we did this, I don't think he's here today, one of the audience members had to stand and block a cable. So that's what happens sometimes in these things. Okay, so what's happening?
C47. Dave
C47,
needs a
all right.
C47.
He's taking the scrim out.
I am.
I'd stretch my legs a little bit here. What are you guys up to? Whenever I have the microphone, I feel like I should interview people. So, what did you have for dinner today? I guess it's too early for dinner, right? Probably breakfast. What'd you have for dinner today, Doug? Or breakfast?
I had eggs. I don't know. That was a guess. Banana. I had a banana and eggs.
A banana and eggs? Oh, that's a pretty good combination, actually. Right, so like an egg and then banana on the side. Man, was there bacon involved?
Right.
No bacon. That's why he looks so good.
I wasn't committed to it.
Yeah. But a banana plus an egg is kind of a good breakfast. And that's the exact same breakfast that Sharina had. This was made in heaven.
Okay.
So they're asking online, how would it be different if they were to do a multicam shoot? So basically, one camera per actor and one covering them both.
You wouldn't be cheating the background for one.
Well, you wouldn't be cheating the background, so
You gotta be better-
Yeah, I
better
hope your
location.
location works for that. First of all, but second of all, how would the lighting change?
Yeah.
You would have something that would cover, the whole area in a particular ambiance. You can't get as detailed as you would just by single camera coverage. You gain some stuff, you lose some stuff. You might gain a little bit more of your back and forth with your actors, but you are losing, specifically if you want to go for a particular lighting setup, you are going to be losing that in order to gain more of a bigger,
Stylistic.
yeah.
Yeah, because if you're going for a more naturalistic look, then that's doable, multicam pretty easily.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like we kind of said in the beginning, if we actually did this with candles and whatever, like, oh yeah, it would be realistic and natural, but it wouldn't be the stylistic look that we wanted. So when you're doing multiple cams, it can be tricky because we have all these stands and diffusion panels and everything in the way. And even if we were on location, like in the actual restaurant, it could still be tricky because of things like that. And also needing to have more extras because then you've got all these positions that, that maybe the coverage needs to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You generally will shoot multiple camera setups as if you're doing this kind of a live show in a way. So you just kind of, everything starts moving kind of all at once, where when you're doing one camera, you can be very defined. You only have to worry about what's in the frame at the moment. So it's trickier, definitely.
Yeah, each one has its benefits. And if you want to see how to do multicam, watch every other week here. Because we multicam this.
Yes.
But yeah, it's good for, sitcoms or things that are lit really flat, easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you multicam also, like, if you've got like a big scene or whatever, an action or something happens that costs you money, costs production money, like an explosion or something like that, or something gets destroyed, like a window, then it's a good time to do multicam because you can get different angles obviously you have to plan it a little more, but you can get multiple angles of the same thing happening. That way you're not wasting money on the resources and
Yeah, like
everything.
blowing up a car or something.
Yeah, I mean, well, even something simple at like, a prop, like sugar glass, bottle or something like that, hitting somebody. The cost of that adds up. Doing it, 5, 6 takes of that. So especially when you have to get it from multiple angles.
Right. Cool. All right, we're moving. So let's get ready to get Doug's take. Are you happy with the lighting?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a. Oh, you're.
You're half. You're
Our
half and half
switcher.
on
See,
your-
this is what I. There we go.
Yeah.
That happened.
I'm like,
Little venom there.
that's
yeah.
not what I'm seeing.
Alrighty. Dave, you're happy?
Yeah. Let me adjust it. I'm gonna come around.
Okay. So one last time we fixed up the rotolight to get a little bit better of an angle on Doug here. Got a little bit closer as well, which will soften it up a little bit. And we got our back/fill light from the back, again, closer and more to the side to fill this area right here of him. As we mentioned, we're not gonna, this is not a brick cube where they are, so we're just gonna let this fall, dark instead of adding brick to it, as it is a different angle in our fake restaurant. And we're about to go for a take.
Are we doing a take or for web?
All right, we're gonna do one take for the web, where we're gonna keep the audio up.
Food is horrible.
The food is horrible,
Put that out there.
says Sharina. Okay.
Restaurant food is terrible.
It's terrible.
Terrible.
Terrible. All right.
Loud now.
Doug
Fair.
looks really good. Let's make a shot. All right. Always remember to yell. Quiet on set. And roll camera.
Camera speed.
And whenever you're ready.
Alicia, does our relationship warrant a long-term commitment? Because I need some kind of proof, some kind of verifiable empirical data.
I'm sorry, just give me a moment to redefine my girlish notions of romance. A proof? Verifiable data? Okay. Well, how big is the universe?
Infinite,
How do you know?
because all of the data indicates it.
But it hasn't been proven yet.
No,
You haven't seen it.
no,
How do you know for sure?
I don't. I just believe it.
It's the same with love, I guess. Now, the part that you don't know is if I want to marry you or not.
That's a cut. All right, that was good.
That's not one thing I noticed. So,
That was really good.
Cool.
looks like one of us had bumped it.
What happened?
Okay, there we go.
All right. We're gonna go for another take. We're gonna cut the sound for this one to make sure that everything works well. Stretch your legs, Doug.
Ow.
You can sit down a little bit if you want. Are we good with that? See,
You wanna
always
do
ask,
one more?
always ask your DP. If he says why? No.
Yeah, we'll do one more.
You want to do one more?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll do one more.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for another one.
I think it was pretty good, but
Always check with your DP and your sound guy. Because if
Since
it
I'm
was a
multi-rolling.
weird something
Yeah.
and you don't want it in your film, and especially if you're limited on time,
can you move around a
always
little bit? per se?
important.
Like just shake.
No.
Yeah.
He mean-
Okay.
do you
That's
mean-
yeah. So I'm hearing on occasion when you're.
Is
It wasn't. It was
his microphone?
Yeah. Just a
Okay,
little
let's check real quick your microphone. Let's make sure that everything's good.
bit. It was.
It's in the
only-
right place.
It was very subtle for a couple of times during that take.
Sure.
Okay.
I think it was just when you had like adjusted a little bit. The cadence
Alrighty.
was-
Yeah, it was.
All ready? Let's go for another, hopefully final take. Get you off of your knees. You're doing great, Doug, by the way. All right. Let's kill the studio lights. And we're going to kill the sound as well. Doug, you can sit down, please. Bet your knees are hurting. So again, all these are just the basics. There's a bunch of tiny little things that I'm sure we missed in this hour and a half or whatever. Any final questions before we wrap up the show? Online? Oh, sorry, what?
I remember the one guy was asking about the prime lens and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went over those questions by watching this guy call himself the angry photographer. He talks about the same thing.
Uh-huh.
He said the more elements there is, the more light you defeat it. And it becomes the enemy towards the light. When you have less elements, you got more light coming towards like a sensor film.
Agreed. Yes, prime lenses do, since there are less elements on there, yeah, there's less things to get in the way or less things to mess up a shot, which is, like I mentioned, yes, definitely another reason why it's good to go for primes. Anything else online?
I think we're yeah, I think
We're
we're
good?
doing pretty good.
All right.
We're gonna end this on YouTube, this stream. But if you are in the store or nearby in New York City, we're gonna be doing another one at 3.
Yes, a different scene.
If you're online, that'll be on Facebook. So Adorama's Facebook.
Yes, you can totally go to our Adorama Facebook and we should be there.
Yeah.
Cool. Then thanks for watching, guys,
Yeah, thank
and
you.
thanks for coming.